What's going on, guys? It's Nabel J. Lee with the latest buzz at Buzzworthy Radio. Now, this interview that I conducted was done prior to my arrival at Comic Con, but it is still within our theme of Comic Con interviews. I sat and spoke with Stimson Snead, who is the writer and director of the movie Tim Travers and the Time Traveler's Paradox. And let me tell you, I did watch this movie, and it's very trippy, but it's also hilarious along the way because there was bits in this movie that we did talk about with Stimson that I had to call out because it was just so. I don't want to use the word bizarre because it wasn't in my frame of mind bizarre, but it was so. It was just so out there that I wasn't expecting it, but it was just hilarious all in the same breath. So I had the pleasure of talking with him about the casting of the movie as well. And it was just, it was great. It was great to sit down and talk with him, and hopefully you guys enjoyed as well. So here it is, our interview with Stimson Snead. Check it out. We're here to talk about Tim Travers and the time traveling paradox. Oh my gosh, I watched this movie. I feel like it fits me for my own sadistic sense of humor, but but for those who have not seen it yet, because I know that it's been at several indie film festivals recently. So for those who haven't seen it yet, let's give a little bit of a rundown real quick of what this movie is.
Well, good to see you, sir. This is a story about a man who wants to test the time traveler's paradox. Go back in time 1 minute, kill your younger self, but then how did you kill your younger self if you were already dead? Wherein paradox lies. We all know it from the go back in time, accidentally kill your grandfather's paradox. So this is about a guy smart enough that he actually does it and he succeeds. And the strangest thing happens. Nothing.
That's
Universe doesn't break. There's
nope.
just two Tim Travers now. And this is the story getting into the real science and the insanity of just how deep that rabbit hole goes as he tries to unravel the mystery of the paradox and why it didn't just end the universe. And it may also be a story about a man learning to meet himself where he is. Literally.
Literally. I'll get into that part of that later on because there was a little bit there that I was kind of going, "Oh, we went literal with that statement."
Oh, yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
Can't tell you which statement we get literal with, not without getting into spoilers, but this
We will
film
get
is light on metaphor.
Oh yeah, we'll get into that comment a little later. So I will warn all of you when it's spoiler alert time. But you had a great cast in this with Sam Dunning, Felicia Day, Danny Trejo was in here, Joel McHale. I mean,
And Keith David.
and Keith Day. The list goes on, and I'm just kind of getting everybody involved in this project. How did even that become a first of all, it's a dream. So even how did that dream become a reality? And I know Felicia also was an executive producer in the film, if I'm not mistaken. And is that correct?
That is correct. Although she was attached to the project later on and then sort of promoted into that role because of how she felt about the material.
Ah,
Actually, this was one of those stories where I'm always feeling bad because it's such kind of a boring story. We sent the actors the script, they liked it. We haggled with their managers, signed them, and that was that. In fact, the only real stressful part was that we were casting so late in the game. Like we were only 2 weeks from when we rolled camera when we started offering people roles.
you
In
kidding?
most of these actors' cases, they got confirmed while we were already shooting. Like Keith David was offered the role and accepted maybe 72 hours before we filmed his scenes.
Are you freaking kidding me?
I am not.
I
And by
was
the way, he called me personally after accepting the role, and hearing that voice on the other end of a phone line is a deeply intimidating thing.
you kind oh my gosh, that's one hilarious. But you also kind of answered a part of my next question because I really wanted to know how much did this take to shoot, the time stamping of it, because I'm sitting here going, all right, so how many extras did we have to get? Because there had to have been at least 15 to 20. And I just don't know how we were able to get this completed in a record amount of time.
Oh, I want to know what you think what we shot it in. I'm curious now.
I mean, listen, I don't even oh my gosh. I would say 4 weeks.
Actually, yeah, we did it in 17 filming days, so a little under 4 weeks, so about 3.5.
Look at that.
And it was insane
I
cramming it in. Also, because with those split screen shots, here's what people forget about when you do a split screen. You're not filming it once, you're filming it however many times you're splitting the screen.
I was
And we
getting
have
ready to
shots
say,
in this film
yeah,
that have 12 of the same actor in it. So really, on what in the film will be one shot, we had to devote 12 times the runtime, the shooting time to it.
that's one of the most interesting things about when people do split screens, especially in this kind of magnitude, where it's so many of Sam in the scene. I'm just sitting there going like, did our technology really advance that much that you can't really tell it is a split screen, but it's a split screen because it's one person. But it just looked so intense. I'm going like, how did we make this happen in such a short amount of time? And then you have even the scenes where it's not all in the same room, but it's Sam as Tim. You're in this room where, spoiler alert, guys, when Tim is telling his other Tims to go fuck yourself,
Yeah.
that's what literally happened in the film.
Big spoilers to it. But yeah, going to the split screen, there's a trick we used. A lot of the time, it's not a split screen. That's the sneaky trick. We actually rely really heavily on body doubles and lookalikes in this film. So almost any time that the camera doesn't rest on a face, like really rest and linger, that's just a different actor. So the main thing we did was old-fashioned tricks.
But you did the whole thing like the Parent Trap
Yeah.
times 10, pretty much.
Yes, we did a lot of trickery with that. And a few shots where, yeah, we had to get really advanced on the tech. We have a couple where we basically had just a CG model of Sam's head put onto other actors' bodies.
Wait, what?
Yeah. We straight up have a CG model of Sam, the actor who plays Tim Travers in costume, and we're putting his head on other people's bodies in some shots.
Wow. Holy crap. Okay. That kind of threw me away a little bit. So thank you.
We kind of had this rule with the effects of trying never to repeat the same effect 2 shots in a row, because we
Right.
know the audience knows that how we did it in certain
Right.
points. But by mixing it up as much as possible, like this shot's a split screen, which cuts to a body double, which cuts to the CG head, which cuts to camera trickery. So, and trying to intermix that as much as humanly possible so that you just don't notice it anymore. Yeah, because the biggest goal for us is for you, we just don't want you to even notice the effect after a certain point,
I see. Well,
to just accept it as a given.
you played it off well because I never would have suspected that at all.
And yes, when he goes to fuck himself, that is a scene where we had to. That was, believe it or not, one of the first scenes in the film we filmed.
Really?
Day one. Day one. I remember the AD coming up and asking me, "So do we need to get an intimacy coordinator for this?" And me going, "It's just Sam. I'm sure he can consent to himself."
Never would have thought of it like that. But you are absolutely correct. He's not going to say no.
I mean, it's to himself.
It's to himself. That is
And
it.
for the record, I believe in a safe set. If Sam was uncomfortable with anything that he was doing to himself, I would have taken Sam out of the room and let that guy know that it's inappropriate to protect Sam
Yeah,
from Sam.
it
I
is.
believe in a safe set.
It is inappropriate, y'all. Inappropriate. But it kind of, I, ironically, from that scene and towards other parts of the film, at least towards the end. Don't want to give too much away about this, but I
Yeah,
honestly,
we can't give up. We can't give up the
we're not
last.
giving up the ending, but I will say that I feel like it was kind of, you said it yourself, metaphorical in an aspect for Tim, because there was a part in the movie where I was going like, yeah, you said to go fuck yourself, but then in reality, you probably needed someone to love yourself, and that was you.
Yeah, yeah. The film deals with a lot of stuff like that.
That was a very subtle, honestly, it was a very subtle metaphor to that, and on the way that it was played out was done very well. So I appreciate that very much. What was Well, first of all, I do want to know, like, how long did this concept of this film come into fruition? How long, yeah, how did you even come up with the concept of doing this? How long did it take to finally get from the pen to paper onto the screen? Like, I really want to know the backstory to it.
So, this was originally a short film that was never intended to be a feature. We did the short, we were done with the short, and there was none of the arc in the short. It was just, there was no character arc. It was just the science. It was only 15 minutes long with Samuel Dunning in the role, basically a one-man cast. I
Okay.
was putting together another feature, and the budget fell through. And so we needed to make a new feature from scratch to not lose our shooting window. So from the
Oh,
time I made the decision to make a movie based of Tim Travers to when we rolled camera, no script, like just the decision to make a movie, no script, not even an outline for a script, to when we rolled camera, 90 days. This
90
entire
days.
film was written in less than 30 days. We started pre-production immediately, and the only thing that changed in that remaining 60 days was me polishing it and fixing the spelling errors. Yeah, 90 days was the entire development and pre-production of this entire film from scratch.
That's incredible. First of all, I don't have the mental capacity to do that, so I applaud those that can. So
I
many
shamelessly recycled scenes from the short film. But that's as close to a head start as I had. I had
Well,
those
I mean, but
15
that's still your
pages.
material, so you
Yeah.
you know, that's okay.
And
That's
it's the same character.
the same
Same.
character. It's fine. And that's all that matters. But I do like the interactions with everybody in there because again, when I mentioned about how sadistic this humor was, I just love the fact that I love the fact that I'm just sitting here laughing at death scenes in this film because I'm going like, well, if you find it funny, I definitely find it funny. So
I have always one of those people who believes that part of there's no wrong way to cope with trauma, but I am one of those people who copes with trauma by laughing at it. And I don't fault anyone else
oh,
if
you're one of
that's not how
those.
they cope, but I laugh at it because it's my way of dealing with it. My one of my writing partners, who plays a brief role in the film, actually, he plays the homeless man. Used to
Okay, that
joke,
was him. Okay.
when we were talk about our humor styles, he would joke, Stimson, my humor is ha ha poop joke. Your humor is someone who doesn't deserve it suffers.
That is a very astute statement about
Yeah,
that. That is definitely played out in this film, y'all. So
quite a bit, quite a bit. Although, in fairness, there are very few sympathetic characters in this film.
that is fair. That is a fair point. So honestly, if you guys haven't checked this out, I hope you do. But I also want you guys to check out if you're going to be in San Diego for Comic-Con, they do have a panel coming up on Thursday, the first day, I believe, on the 25th, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Not terrifying at all to be the opening night of San Diego Comic Con.
No, you got some big shoes to fill for being on the first night, huh?
Yeah, well, we've got Felicia is going to be part of the
Felicia
panel.
gonna be
Doug
there.
Jones is going to be our moderator.
Yes. What was that like for you when you were notified that you guys are having a panel at the biggest event of the year?
Uh, my producer, Ben Yenny, told me about it a few months beforehand that this is something that might happen. I remember being like, okay, Ben, you look into that. Don't let me tread on your dreams. I'm sure that'll definitely
They're
happen.
like, this is not gonna
Yeah,
happen.
I devoted no mental effort to it at all. It's like, yeah,
Of course.
that's not gonna fucking happen. And then when he calls me, he's just like, what? I was genuinely shocked. So, but I am thrilled because it's a great film and this is such a great audience to get to introduce the film to. And we're going to be screening a brand new trailer just for the Comic-Con audience that gets into a lot of stuff that our other public trailers do not.
Nice. Nice. That
So,
actually was gonna be the next question.
yeah, so come and check it out. There's going to be we'll get into some spoilers on that panel.
Oh, for sure. I definitely want to try to get there since I will be there as well. So
Come and say hello.
I will definitely do my best to come by and say hello for sure. I appreciate you spending your time with me to talk about the movie and getting pumped for Comic-Con next week. This was great.
Sir, thank you so much. Absolute pleasure.
Thank you. I want to thank Stimson Snead for stopping by the Buzzcast to talk about Tim Travers and the Time Traveler's Paradox before we hit up Comic Con. And any of you that did check out that panel while you were there, please let us know. I would love to know your thoughts on it as well. And more information will be provided to you about the movie when we receive it. But that's going to do it for me for right now. I'm Novell J. Lee, making sure you keep getting the latest buzz with Buzzworthy Radio by logging onto our website at buzzworthyradiocast.com. You can also find us on X at Buzzworthy Radio and liking us on our Facebook page. We are also on Amazon Music and iHeartRadio. And finally, you can find me on Instagram at BuzzNav and at Buzzworthy Radio. We'll see you guys next time. Take care.